Coffee Day and welcome to Foodie Call. I'm not sure if you recognize anybody here at this table besides Jason, but here we are at the new Meskla location, Meskla CHamoru Fusion Bistro. And I'm gonna try to say your complete title, Chef, Corporate Executive Chef, Peter Duenas, who is also his title, earned the title recently of Global Master Chef.
Yes. Very nice.
Did I get it? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Pete, you don't even have a business card at this point. You have like a 2x4 and you just have all your titles that go across. Like,
no, actually, I get scolded a lot when people ask for my card. I don't even have them. I don't carry cards on me. I have cards, but I don't carry them.
Well, you're on LinkedIn, and that's the most important thing.
Just a minute ago, he told us that he's really just the cook around here, but we all know that that's not true. You are the mastermind behind the Meskla. This is a dynasty now?
That's a good way to put it. I was going to say chain, but dynasty is a much more elegant word.
I wouldn't call it that. I mean, we're locals that wanted to do something with our food and elevate our food and bring it to the forefront as a dining option for locals and tourists alike.
And of course, we are in the brand new location. So congratulations, Pete. Opening a restaurant and running it is certainly one of the hardest things you can ever do in business. Like, you know, if you're a business major, one of the first things they teach you is, okay, you can open a tech company, fine. You're going to run a hedge fund. You know, there are challenges to that. You want to open a restaurant, you better have your head screwed on straight because that is a tough business.
I can attest to that, definitely. You know, trying to get all the components together to run a fully functional dining venue for people to come in, and it's just one facet of starting a restaurant. And then you need people to work in there, you need people to cook, you need people to serve, and you need to prepare a menu that's cost effective. And I could go on and on and on and on, but ultimately it's a huge undertaking and a big challenge.
And Lacee, we're kind of bearing the lead here, but you know, again, location is another thing they say.
Yes.
We are actually in the brand spanking new venue. You've been open, what, 10 days now?
Just about 10 days.
Just about 10 days in Tumon. So congratulations on that. You started downtown, you moved up to right at the top of the hill, right across from JFK with Meskla Dos. Now you're in a completely different demographic, completely different market and everything like that, but you are in the heart of tourism, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's something we've been wanting to do for a while now, and I guess timing, location, a lot of different components came together, and we're here now. It's we just went through a 4-month constructional phase, you know, remodeling and putting in a brand new, pretty much brand new everything in this space.
At the Grand Plaza Hotel. So this is a nice location. Lacee and I were trying to figure out, like, right before we started this live stream, we're like, what was this before?
This was Watabe Restaurant.
Watabe, yes. Okay.
A Japanese restaurant.
Yeah.
And my family and I used to come here for their sukiyaki and their shabu shabu. They were very well known for quite a few things, actually. And it was kind of like a secret spot for locals. Mm-hmm. And obviously they got lots of tourists in there, Japanese, and the chef that was here was a long-time local Japanese chef who started Sakura Restaurant in Tumon way back when in the 70s and 80s, and then also opened up Watabe later on. Mm-hmm. So it was sad to see that one go, but it also became an opportunity for us to come in here.
Okay, so what are we going to expect here? This is the bistro side, the Meskla restaurant side,
Yes.
right? You have the Meskla Dos restaurants, which you also have two of, correct? This
Yes.
is your second.
This is a second bistro, and what we really wanted to do, if you look around, we kind of mocked the Ganya restaurant and created a smaller, newer version of it.
It is very cozy in here.
Yeah, and you know, with the whole Ganya theme, we wanted to create that homey type of feel where it's a non-pretentious but pretty environment and fused with local culture, local food.
I've always wondered, if I may, you know, you brought that whole idea of and it literally says it on on the menu. It says CHamoru Fusion.
Yes.
No one really did that before you with like taking your formal training, and you went to the culinary school, and you're highly educated in all things. I believe you said you studied French cooking. Yeah.
Classical French cuisine.
But then you take that back to your heritage and the work of your ancestors. I know when my dad was still alive, he used to love eating in Hagana because he goes, this is actually legit CHamoru food. You have the tanala chutney and you have just enough fat on the end of it and everything.
Yeah.
So he really liked that. But what kind of feedback you've been getting? Because you tried that. Combine the old with the new.
Well, I think initially when we first started, it was well received for the most part, but there was still some confusion as to what makes this any different from CHamoru food, like typical CHamoru food. And what I tell most people is I spent the better part of 20 years cooking other types of cuisines. French, Italian, European, all kinds of other European cuisines, Asian cuisines. And then finally, when I spent the better part of 10 years doing Pacific Rim when I was working for Sam Choi's.
Sure.
I did fusion, Pan Pacific fusion, right? And then I said, man, why can't I do that with the local food, with my own food? And that's where Meskla was born. It was taking our home comforting types of dishes and throwing in just enough twist in there to elevate it to not fine dining but fun dining, slightly upscale type of presentation, and bring our CHamoru food to the forefront.
It really is an experience.
And that was my vision, my goal. And I think in the very beginning, some of the locals were like, just to say it honestly, some people were like, Lana boy, I can make this at my house better than that. Hey, I'm not here to say I'm the best at making my tanala chutney, or I'm not the best at making my tanaktak. I'm here as a service to anybody who chooses not to slave over a stove or smoking meat for hours in the back of the house in their outside kitchen, and it's what I call a no-brainer. You come in here, you order, you eat, you pay, you go home, you're happy, no fuss, no mess, and you're satisfied, right? And I think the times have changed enough to where more and more people are eating out because of the convenience and the time constraints of raising a family, working every day. It's just everybody knows that eating out is so much easier. Sure, you're gonna spend a tad bit more to pay for prepared foods, but you can get decent foods at just about any restaurant here in Guam, and be able to not fuss over it.
Now this lady, this lovely creature here, she is like the authority on legit CHamoru cooking and everything like that. So when she very graciously, credits the work that you guys do here and everything like that, all of us in the newsroom are like, okay, if Lacee said it's good to go.
Oh yeah.
Well, Meskla has long been. When did you guys open the Agani one?
We opened in 2009, so we're just a little over 10 years.
So for almost a decade, it has been the place that when somebody comes to visit, what restaurant do you tell them to go to? You tell them to go to King's, you tell them to go to Meskla for that kind of, higher end.
Well, you want to get a taste of local food aside from the CHamoru Village or whatever. You could definitely come to Meskla, and we see it during the vacation periods like summer break and holiday breaks. And some of the locals come back from the mainland or wherever they're at abroad. They definitely hit us up right away once they get here, and also when we have visiting guests that come in for either business or just a vacation, a lot of locals bring them in here just to try some of our local delicacies. And
Speaking of which, oh my.
Coconut seafood pasta.
This is a new signature dish only sold here at Meskla in Tumon. Eventually it'll get to Agana, but we started this as one of our new menu items.
Wow. That almost looks too good to eat because the plate. And yeah, again, that's the one thing I've always appreciated about you is because, you know, when I got into like Iron Chef, right, when I was watching it, I was like, wow, there really is something to say about plating and about presentation.
Wow.
And, you know, growing up with like traditional Chamorro cooking, you'd eat tinala chutney just off the paper plate.
Yeah,
And, you know, you'd eat it off the napkin and everything. But
And it tastes amazing.
oh.
And we, of course, speaking of tinala chutney,
Tinala chutney.
it's not on a napkin or a paper plate.
Yeah,
but
and that is a thick cut too.
just for you, Jason. And
Oh,
one
wow.
of my all-time favorites, and what I call the epitome of Chamorro Fusion.
Thank you so much.
is
Will you be
our-
joining us for lunch?
Thank you.
This is what I call a true Chamorro Fusion dish, and this is our Musizas gyoza. And it's our traditional Musizas filling served in or prepared in a gyoza wrapper, a typical Japanese gyoza wrapper. It's served over coconut cream
I want to get some pictures
with
too.
uni pepper oil.
So we're talking about how people come when they come to visit, and of course local people too. In the evenings, it's still pretty packed. I see your restaurant in Agana.
Yes.
But now that you're in Tumon, this is, I feel really kind of proud too that you're here because now we're seeing more representation of what Chamorro food, even fusion, could be. And this is what our guests get to see.
Our visitors, right?
Right, and there
Yeah.
aren't many restaurants here that do Chamorro food or fusion food. Maybe they have a dish or two.
You know who I'm sure is really, really happy, Pete, that you're in Tumon right now? Literally right across the street because we got the police precinct over there. Those guys are going to be so happy.
Oh yeah, they are pretty.
Cops
happy.
love Chamorro cooking.
And then if you're wondering where it's at, where this is at, just it's right across the police station. But that's your goal here.
We feel safer too, by the way. We're close to the police station.
Now, is that linguine?
Yes.
Okay,
it's,
yeah.
So just to talk about this, and you know, when you talk about like a seafood Alfredo or shrimp Alfredo, what do you envision? Mm-hmm. Envision a creamy pasta dish with seafood or shrimp, right? And you typically get heavy cream and some cheese in there, Parmesan cheese, and you know, a rich and creamy sauce. And I just thought, you know what? Let's do a Chamorro style Alfredo and use coconut milk instead of your traditional heavy cream. So, and of course it has our little special touches. And as I mentioned, I spent the better part of 7 years doing Italian cuisine. So I can talk a little bit about Italian food, but this is a Chamorro Italian fusion.
Well, I remember on one of your older TV
Okay.
shows, you
Are
did.
we going to bless the
Hold
table?
on.
Yes, come on.
You can handle that. You did something with coconut crab.
Oh yes,
How
absolutely.
could I ever forget that? Because it kind of blew my mind.
I love playing with local products, especially fresh local products, and turning it into culinary creations out of the box. You know, other than your traditional coconut crab and coconut milk with vegetables, you know, creating a coconut crab pasta or coconut crab kelaguen that you would probably never see unless somebody had a ton of coconut crab. But please dig in
All right,
and
Jason,
give it a taste.
just-
Could you describe the tatitas?
Well-
Interesting, because contrast that with the other one with the tinala chutney. It's very interesting.
So with our flatbread, this is our pastas here are served with our flatbread as well as our clam bake, and our flatbread is basically my grandmother's flour tortillas recipe.
So it is flour. Okay.
Yes, it's your standard flour tortillas recipe, and we incorporate basil and olives into it, and that's another little Chamorro fusion. So when people ask me, well, what is
Interesting.
Chamorro fusion? How do you see this as Chamorro fusion? You know, it's just a little twist and you know turn here and there. From pastas to flatbreads, which is actually tortillas. with-
Okay, if I may, at the risk of being
absolutely,
okay.
absolutely.
All right, Jason, hurry up and eat some. Foodie call primarily, in
That
fact,
is
we're just
so
about
good.
the food. So can you tell us,
Let me dish some for you, Lacey.
Master Chef Peter, is there anything that's new here, or are we seeing a carryover of your menu?
Definitely, the majority of the menu is a carryover from Agana, because what locals love should be what the visitors can look to enjoy when they're here.
Oh, Pete, this is so good.
That's
And I'm typically a corn. My grandmother raised me on corn tortillas. Nana would make corn tortillas. You know, she'd have the butter.
Bread there to accompany that.
Oh,
So this is your Nana's typical, Jason.
yeah, going against. Oh, thank you so much. Let me get one of those shrimp.
I think that's important. He was saying, Jason, that you're going to see basically the same thing that you see at the other restaurant.
Okay. This really captures the bounty of the sea. I mean, visually and everything, because, you know, sometimes you'll get like a plate of pasta and they'll like, okay, there's maybe 1 or 2 shrimp and then a mussel or 2. There's a lot of seafood in here. So you get like generous pieces of salmon.
And the great thing about this is if you're lactose intolerant, there's no
Which I am.
dairy in there.
Yeah.
How is it?
Oh.
It's great. It really does have that coconut. That's what I taste, seafood and coconut, which is...
I have never had that before.
So how do you think about
Jason's
seafood
never had
and-
that before.
How do you,
Not coconut milk and pasta.
how do you think about Chamorro cuisine at home? You get crab and coconut milk, lobster and coconut milk, shrimp and coconut milk.
Yeah.
So you're basically fish and coconut milk, right? Basically taking that idea and turning it into something a little more than just kaddu with coconut milk. Now you're getting a pasta with the seafood and a variety of that seafood mixed with a pasta. So you're kind of getting a familiar flavor with a twist.
And I very much enjoy Italian cooking. It's just, you know, the coconut milk with the pasta. That's so good. That works so well. I'll just like starve food if I'm really into it. I'm
Please
actually
excuse
really
Jason.
trying to take my time. I'm really, you know.
But this is the whole thing. This has been the thing behind Meskla, Jason.
Yeah.
It's taking these...
Well, admittedly, like
These
the
ingredients.
tenella carne, the dried beef, for years. I took my dad. It was a tradition. I would always take my dad on Father's Day, and we would go to Meskla, the original location, and he would always, again, want the dried beef because my dad grew up eating, you know, the Antigua style Chamorro cuisine. You know, like a lot of ham hocks, a lot of and if I may, yeah. So
I love that.
look at that. That is a generous piece right there. Now, and how do you determine exactly how much fat to leave on? Because I'm sure you get people at your original location. You got a lot of traffic from from the Navy,
Yes.
and from the naval base. Do some people say there's a little bit too much fat, but then they learn?
We try to educate our guests in terms of newcomers to the island and also newcomers to dishes like this. And with tenalla carne, my personal way or etiquette of preparing tenalla carne is there should always be some fat on it because the fat is what makes it so tasty. You know, if you had a dry cut of meat, it might not be as good. It might be closer to jerky. And with ours, we try to make sure that it's a tad bit crispy, but still juicy on the inside. And I always tell my staff to make sure that the fat is on there. And we do a lot of trimming, but we have to leave on at least, I want to say a quarter of, for the whole piece of meat, a quarter of it being with that nice brisket fat that gives it that crunch and goodness.
And this is one of the items that have been on your menu since day one?
Oh yeah, this is definitely one of our staples that everyone comes in for. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
And I speaking of scarf, I just like grabbed a pinch of it. Is that fresh green onion?
Yes.
Like local fresh green onion?
Yes,
You can
absolutely.
really truly taste the difference.
It's a lot stronger.
Yeah, I mean it's, you know, I'm trying to aim my mouth like this way so as not to like knock the both of you out. That's so good.
We definitely try to promote the local farming industry and support the farmers. We try to buy as much local produce as we can use here in our menus. So from green onions to our cherry tomatoes to our beans, our eggplant, cucumbers, whatever we can source out locally that works within our menu, we We try to get as
Now-
much as possible.
I do have one question, Pete, or maybe Lacey. I know we were talking about this on the car over. Again, the original Meskla restaurant you had in the heart of Hagåtña, so you had lifelong Guamanians coming from all over the island to go there. You got like a fair amount of military coming from the bases. With this location right here, you're getting Japanese, Russians, Koreans, stateside guests and everything, just because you're in Tumon. You get so much
Yes.
of the tourist foot traffic.
Absolutely.
What are you seeing as far as like the mix of people coming into the restaurant?
Interesting thing about it is it just to gauge in the past week and a half, it's been a 50-50 mix of tourists and locals,
Good.
which is I think is great. We always want to encourage our locals to come. Our locals are our main clientele here on island, and it's been that way, and we've been supported by the community, and it's something that we're really blessed with and very appreciative of the support we get from our people of Guam, and to be able to get in the tourists as well. I mean, it's awesome. They get to enjoy what our locals enjoy every day.
Well, they say, right, how can you tell if it's a good local restaurant or if it's a good Chinese restaurant? You eat where there's Chinese people, right?
Exactly, absolutely. And then tourists, they follow the same suit. I mean, an Asian tourist, they see a bunch of locals in there, they want to be in there. So it's kind of it's been a great mix, and I foresee this becoming a more of a tourist destination down the road, and I'm just hoping that it doesn't discourage our locals when we start filling up with tourists.
I don't think so at all. I mean,
Still want locals to come down here.
and the locals are obviously going to support you because 10 years. I mean, you're an established institution on the island. People appreciate what you do. I mean, it's a treat to come down, and people know. I don't think people see you as necessarily like as a chef. Even, and I don't mean that
I'm
disrespectfully.
not sure. I
No,
see him as a chef.
No, but I mean,
first.
people see you as an artist, and they know what you're doing is
Okay.
truly art.
I mean, the way I look at it is I'm just another local boy who loves food just like most local boys. And I have some training behind my passion for food, but I really just want to have our visitors and locals alike be proud of what we have here in Guam, be proud of what we do. And in terms of my food, I say this all the time. I don't claim to be the best Chamorro food on island, and I never will claim to be the best Chamorro food. I want people to have the option when they don't want to do the work, they can come here and have it be as close as possible to what they're used to, or even totally different from what they're used to, and enjoy it either way.
I think home cooking too is a dying art with a lot of our manamko.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean the
leaving us.
generational changes, right? We went from doing everything the old way to gradually changing up in the times, and then now it's kind of interesting. You really have a very small number of people who still, like Lacey said, take the time to do it the old way. I mean, down south they still do a lot of the Antigua ways and try to instill that into the children. Even up north, I still see some family members still doing it the same way, which I'm super proud of, and I want to be a part of that movement and instilling the whole traditional ways and thoughts of not just food but also culture, and having it into one big package. Without, like, part of our culture is the food.
Well, to make sure that you pass those lessons and that wisdom onto a new generation, I know that one thing you've always been very much supportive is hiring local talent and making sure that you have local chefs who are sensitive to the way we prepare food, the way we enjoy food. Lacey says it all the time on the show. The way that food for us and our way of life is social currency.
Absolutely.
So talk about a little bit about how you hire and the people you employ.
Well, we're out looking for talent every day, pretty much, and as with most businesses and restaurants alike, is a major manhunt for good people, and there's the culinary program, which is creating more and more young chefs every day, which I'm really happy about. And we're out there. We're looking for energetic, passionate people who have a love for food and want to learn and grow with the company and be happy and proud of where they work. And we strive for that every day. We not just employ people, we embrace them like family members, and we incorporate them, whether they're Chamorro, Filipino, Palawan, black, white, and we have an array of multi-ethnic staff working for us now, and we embrace them as family, and we create a culture from within our restaurants, and that automatically connects to the food and the service.
All right, so tell us about this Martinez here. And I'm not sure if Jason would know what that is. Do you know what Martinez is, Jason?
So Martinez is a Antiguo dish that we adopted from the Spaniards, and it's basically minced chicken that's mixed with mint, lemon, usually pumpkin tips and coconut and hot peppers, and it's marinated and typically stuffed in the skin of a chicken neck skin, and they create this sausage-looking thing.
Oh, okay.
And it's usually steamed in coconut milk. So I kind of twisted it, and we make a traditional Martinez filling, but now we stuff it into the gyoza. We cook it like a typical gyoza, which is like half steamed and half fried at the same time. And instead of steaming it in the coconut milk, we serve it over coconut cream, and we douse it with our house-made buni pepper oil.
I was gonna say, like, I bit into the first one of these, and it had a kick.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's our signature buni pepper oil.
there it is. I get right on my tongue, literally on the tip of my tongue.
So you're getting a little bit of tang, you're getting a little bit of mintiness, a little bit of earthiness, the chicken flavor, and then you're getting that comforting, creamy coconut milk, and then you're getting a little kick from the buni pepper oil. So it's kind of all the comforts of a traditional Martinez without the chicken skin.
Right. And I see it cooked in like foil.
Some people use foil nowadays because
Banales or something.
chicken neck, it's hard to, chicken neck
That's if you
skin
see
hard to
it,
come
though,
by, yeah.
'cause- And I do see it at some parties.
Martinez is not a common thing anymore.
I feel like it's
You don't see it.
Yeah, it's having a comeback, but that's great. You put it on the menu, then that's something that will carry over, even if the tradition somehow doesn't. Because who eats chicken necks?
Well, if you look at the menu, when you come into Meskla, our menu, I don't think is a huge menu. It's a pretty good sized menu, but I wanted a good variety of local flavors.
This is a good size menu. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
You have a lot of different options.
a good variety of local flavors for you to choose from and experience. And even if you're local, lunch, I have this thing called the Kaduku Chamorro. Did you see the Kaduku Chamorro? If you look at our lunch menu, there's a dish called the Kaduku Chamorro.
Oh, there you go.
Which means the crazy chamorro. And the reason, and some people ask me that question, why do you call your dish a crazy chamorro? I said, because the dish is a hamburger steak served over steamed rice with sauteed vegetables. It's topped with a tinactac sauce and 2 over easy eggs. So the reason why, it's basically our souped up version of a loco moco, but I call it the Kaduku Chamorro because Only Chamorros are crazy enough to eat that for lunch.
Yep, because if you go back to work, you ain't getting anything done.
To try to go back to work after lunch.
I just saw you go for the Denancy.
What were you doing? You were an amateur at this. You don't come to Meskla.
I'm
and
really not.
eat
I'm
the
kind of
Denancy.
timid when it comes to like the Chamorro. How is the Denancy? Because you are a Denancy.
Oh, I'm not a really hot person, but if I think you have helped bring this to the forefront for people.
Yes.
Now there's a huge Denancy market here on Guam. I mean, money huge, but I mean there are a lot of people who make it and who are trying to sell it. But your restaurant has been putting this out. You know, is it day one since
Yes,
day one?
absolutely.
And you had different. Did you have different kinds before?
Actually, we offered what we call the Finadeni sampler.
Right.
So we have 5 different Finadenis that you can experience with your meal. And unfortunately, we have to charge for it. Everything in the Finadeni costs money. So let's just say you have a table of 4 and you order a Finadeni sampler, $5 comes with 5 different Finadenis, including the Denancy. So we have a variety of Finadenis that we serve here, and one of the newest ones is my little Thai-inspired Finadeni. It's got lemon juice, fish sauce, onions, cilantro, and a lot of hot pepper. And it actually pairs well with just about anything. And most people think about fish sauce, they're like, oh, fish sauce is stinky.
They
Right?
immediately think like patis.
Yeah.
Like right when the bottle opens.
Yeah, but once it's mixed with lemon juice and peppers and onions and cilantro, and you can eat it over fish, lobster, seafood, beef, chicken, pork, it doesn't matter. It's an excellent thing, and it's been my latest craze when I eat. I want that Thai Finadeni. Just got that enough twang in it and just enough funk is what I call it. Just enough funk to make it so appealing that you want to eat it with everything.
Now as a chef, you're a man of many disciplines, right?
Yes.
As a professional, are there any styles or any type of cuisine that you've not had training in or that you've not been able to cook like yourself that you would like to try?
To be honest, probably a little more. I mean, I dabbled in the Indonesian, Malaysian side, but I like to dabble a little bit more in that, just because I love the flavor profiles. You know, when I visit these
A lot of spices.
countries, it's just the aromatics and the spices that create one flavor. It makes it so intriguing to me. So, you know, I did a show in Malaysia with the Food Obsession, and one of the dishes we featured at our Ghana restaurant was the rendang beef. And why I chose the rendang beef and the laksa as well, because both dishes are so it's got like a huge array of flavors going on, and literally the ingredient list is like 30 items to make one dish. I mean, and you're talking herbs, spices, you know, powders. It's amazing how you take all of that, you cook it down, and it gives you this one unique flavor. And I guess that feeds my passion for the culinary field is the flavor and the profiles of what you're eating, and to create that unique.
I think that's so noble.
Goodness.
How something you grew up doing and something you found yourself to be good at and something that you obviously said is your life's work and your passion. You've been very successful in business. It's taken you all over the world. You've made new friends. You've met all sorts of people, and you never tire.
Well, it's always exciting. It's a lot of hard work to do restaurants in general.
You're the luckiest man alive, man.
Well, I consider myself lucky, fortunate, and blessed, and I'm very appreciative, and I'm thankful of the opportunities to do what I'm doing today. And of course, I'm always happy to wake up in the morning. Like, hey, I'm here, I'm back, another day, right? My friend, I have one good friend. I see him once a year, and he always tells me, "Happy to see you, and happy that we're here at this moment in time, because we might not be here if it were another day."
That's true.
And I think about that. It's like you enjoy what you have and make good of what you have, and then when it's time to go, sayonara.
Now, Lacey, if I may, I'd like to share my favorite Chef Pete Duenas memory, because I remember when you were doing your first show, The Outdoor Chef.
Oh yeah.
By the way, is there any truth to the rumor that when you guys do Food Obsession, that entire show is produced on an iPhone?
I would
That's
say
the rumor, and those of us, we do TV and we do online video too.
Yeah.
That is amazing. You're seeing a lot of that.
I have to tell you that 80% of that is true.
Okay.
We do use a professional camera for certain shots that require a professional camera, but yeah, pretty much 70-80% is shot on an iPhone.
Incredible. Steven Soderbergh made that movie High Flying Bird recently and everything, all on an iPhone.
It's
So.
not the first one though.
Oh no,
Yeah.
there's a lot of filmmakers and TV producers that are using high-tech equipment combined with the iPhone.
Yep.
I mean, you got super duper 4K quality film coming out of it, and of course my wife is the producer slash videographer, so she's with me hand in hand everywhere we go.
And the reason I asked that is
And
because
she-
I was like, hey, I heard you guys are doing everything like an iPhone. She was like, I don't know if I want to say that. I was like, that's something I'd be bragging about, because your show looks stellar. It's highly entertaining.
The
And the thing
quality is good.
Yeah, and the thing I did want to bring up about my favorite Pete Duenas memory is you had that one episode of The Outdoor Chef when I believe you went to, was it Washington or somewhere where it was very, very cold, and you had, like the winter gear. You guys were going hunting, I think.
Oh, it was in Alabama.
Alabama. Oh, that's right. Yeah. For pheasant, was it? Or?
Oh, we went for a whitetail deer.
Okay.
Whitetail deer, yeah.
I'm getting the details all wrong. But I remember you went there, and then I think you visited Chamorros who had moved out there.
Yes.
And
yes.
and you actually brought them plates in with, typical fiesta style, the two paper plates stacked on top of each other, tin foil wrapped around it, and they were the happiest people on earth. And I was like, that kind of thing, you cannot fake that. You could have had Academy Award caliber professional actors, and they could not have captured just the sheer joy on their face when a fellow Chamorro says, hey, I took the time to actually make you a homemade meal. That's an amazing visual. I'll always remember that.
Right on. I appreciate it. And
That's incredible.
and the Outdoor Chef, and even with Food Obsession nowadays, a lot of scripting does not happen.
Cool.
It's a lot of
We're doing everything off the cuff here too.
I used to call it run and gun. Mm-hmm. We just hurry up and slow down. And nowadays, what is my wife calls it? My wife calls it. What's that word I'm looking for? When you're just on the fly.
Ad lib,
Ad lib. There's another word. for it.
improvisation.
Impromptu.
Improv.
Just
Okay.
kind of like, let's flow, right? Like the movie Hustle and Flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
But that's what we want. I mean, especially with Foodie Call too.
Wow.
I'm not here to talk to you so that you can sell me something. Master Chef Pierre, you sell yourself. And Food Obsession, I wanted to mention that you still have that over at the other
Yes.
restaurant. We won't be seeing it here, but
Well,
you'll still have
our
it here.
current plans
One
now
more.
are not to feature the Food Obsession items here. We still want to stick with our Ganya location for that, and we are going to continue. And speaking of that, we have a brand new season coming up in June, starting June 1st, and we'll have a whole new line of
Fantastic.
visits around the world.
Very cool. Pete, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
You've been a good friend for many, many
Oh,
years,
yes.
and we're so happy that you found the success that you have.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Lacee.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
All right, thanks so much. Yes.
Now it's time for a nap.
Let's go, Jason. Got work to do.